episode of the Owner Ops Podcast, where I've paired up with Jacob from Rise Land Clearing Growth. Jacob runs ads for a lot of land clearing companies, about 120, if I remember correctly, across the nation. And he's been doing this for 4 or 5 years, and he's been in the game for a while and has access to a lot of operators who are doing this at a high level. And so, please welcome Jacob to the show this morning. We record this every other Friday at this point, and the topics are always kind of loosely related to land clearing as a whole. We dive into Facebook ads, conversion rates, speed to lead, process on the back end. Jacob has been out to acquisition.com headquarters several times for coaching with Hormozi and his team. So a lot of the content that I'm watching, a lot of the stuff that he's following, the principles that he's kind of coaching his clients on, we follow here at Bear Claw as well. And so we always have a lot to talk about today. Let's tell the listeners what to expect. What are we going to talk about in relation to the market?
For sure, yeah. I love to talk about, of course, speed to lead, trust, marketing, ads, all of that. But we've been wanting to talk about for a while is land clearing potential, revenue potential in markets. I think that would be an interesting topic. I've done quite a bit of research, and I would definitely love to hear what people think of it, and how that compares to maybe information other folks have found and seen in real life. What they've actually been able to accomplish. And this is a sensitive subject for some, because some people have this limiting belief on their business and their community and their life in general, that some things just are not possible. So hopefully this will help break some people's beliefs that they just can't achieve certain levels.
Okay, so one of the guys in our Owner Ops Pro group, who and you work with as well, asked me this question a while back. He's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about going to this market over here because I don't think my market's big enough." And my answer was, "Dude, I'm operating in a town of 30,000 people here."
Yep.
So I think there's potential, and you and I have had this conversation offline, there's more potential than people actually think in your own local market. So why don't we just start at the top level? You've dove into the research. You've done some deep research with ChatGPT, if I remember correctly. So what's your overview here?
For sure. Yeah, I definitely used ChatGPT to help me pull in information. This was about like an 8-hour session if you combined all the sessions together. But basically, what I was looking at was what's the typical production capacity per crew based on what you can do as a crew and what's actually available to be done out there. And so the per crew case on the low case was 440 acres. And if you did that that's light mulching, so I had it at $2,000 an acre. So that's $880,000 a year. Mid case was a balanced mix with 2.5 crews, 2,500 an acre, 550 acres, 1.3 million. And then the high case was 3 crews running strong, denser jobs, getting about 3,000 an acre, would put you getting 660 acres, which puts you right at the 1.98 million. And so the consensus there was most 2 to 3 crew land clearing businesses should be able to realistically generate between 1 and 1.5 million in annual revenue if well utilized. That was kind of a nice midpoint.
Okay, sweet. We're still figuring this Restream software out. So if any of you are joining right now, we use this software called Restream, and it pushes to YouTube and X and multiple platforms. Jacob can share on his YouTube. I can share on mine. I've got a couple of our Owner Ops Pro members who are trying to join in here because our Restream link was posted inside of our school community, instead of the YouTube link. So guys, if you're joining, would love to test the chat this morning. So before we dive into this topic deeper, okay, we got Doug. Doug's testing. Are you seeing private chat on your end? Jacob. Thanks, Doug. All right, we got Doug here. Sweet. So Doug is considered getting into some land clearing stuff down in Durango, but he's going to be focusing on driveway grading, which is another good market that I really like. Alongside of, and they kind of go hand in hand, right? Like you can do upsells or back and forth cross sells, but Doug's going to be focusing on driveway grading. Anyways, back to land clearing. Okay, we got Jesse here. Jesse's land clearing guy. Sweet. Awesome. Thanks for testing, guys. I appreciate it here. All right, let's talk land clearing. So, Jesse, this is going to be really applicable to you as you are starting your land clearing company in the South. A lot of guys, South, Southeast, focusing on land clearing here. Midwest, seeing some more guys pop up in Ohio, like Alex from Brushworks. Anybody tuning in here, Alex is going to start joining us on the Owner Ops Pod for more regular conversations. Which, Jacob, have you met Alex yet?
No, I feel like I know him because I've watched so many of his videos. He puts out amazing stuff.
Yeah, he's cool, man. I'll introduce you guys. Great dude. Good marketer, or great marketer as well, as you've probably seen.
Yeah, his video on trees, like the number one thing you should really know as a land clearing company is like know your trees.
For sure.
I'm like, dude, that was gold. And like, if you could think of one thing that really truly differentiated the best land clearing companies from the other, like that's got to be one of the biggest factors for sure.
Yeah, man. Alex is putting out some really good content. If you guys have not followed his channel yet and you are in the land clearing business, yeah, he's another good channel to follow. Look, for the Owner Ops podcast, like we're going all in on land clearing and forestry here. I love talking with Jacob. Jacob and I work together on the back end. He and his company is managing all the Bear Claw stuff. And they are managing, like I said, 120 other people throughout the nation here. So they've got access to the ads that are working and all that good stuff. And they see the operators who are putting in the work and getting the results here.
For sure. Yeah, so I went on the high level side of that. Like the two overviews were basically multiple crews, what's possible. And the reason I set these two parameters was because that's kind of like the most common land clearing company, either owner operator or a few crews. So the few crews, the low case was $880 a year. And then the 3 crews running strong with denser jobs was $2 million a year. Then the owner operator, the low to high, low was 75 acres a year at $2,000 an acre, would get you $150 a year. Mid was 100 acres at $2,500, get you $250. High case was 150 acres at $2,500, get you $375, which is very, very reasonable. I've definitely seen owner operators do that time and time again.
Okay. So a guy starting out, like just general market in the South, Southeast, Midwest, what should be the goal year one if you're just one guy and one machine?
In my opinion, 250 should be definitely like the bare minimum goal if you're actually doing it full time. Now, if you have other commitments, then there's going to be constraints there. But I think 250 a year is very reasonable. Doing 100 acres, so you're looking at divided by 12. That's only doing 8 acres a month. So you're talking 2 acres a week. So basically, if you can do 1 to 2 jobs a week for the year, you should be able to hit 250 pretty easily.
1 to 2 jobs per week. Hey Jacob, I'm getting some weird reverb or background from like whenever you put the I think it's like whenever you put your coffee cup down on the desk.
Oh,
let's see.
I can switch to the headphones. Or I wonder if I can just switch to the Mac mic. That may sound better.
Oh man, that's awesome. Test, test. Nope, but I don't have your audio now. Hey guys, while Jacob's fixing his speaker and mic here, the guys who are chiming in, Doug, I see you over here in the private chat. Do you have access to a public chat? You should have access. If you're joining on YouTube, there should be a chat. Jesse, what specific questions do you have for Jacob as a guy starting out in land clearing? Jacob's been running ads for, like I said, 120 people throughout the nation. We did our Owner Ops Pro weekly call yesterday morning. Was targeted towards getting Facebook ads up and going for guys who are in forestry and land clearing. So I was excited to share with everybody in the group that we'd have Jacob join in here. Jacob's been a wealth of knowledge here for us at Bear Claw, and he's sharp. He's sharp. So if you guys have questions, post them in the chat over here. The public chat is preferred, used through YouTube. That way Jacob and I can see it both. Test, test. Nope. I don't have you, Jacob.
How about now?
Yep, gotcha.
Awesome. Sorry about that. I've got a new mic on the way. That one is giving me so many problems. What time link is recommended with running Facebook ads for a local home service business? I don't put time links on it. Like if you're talking like boosting an ad and saying 10 days, we always just set an ad live with a daily spend target, and you want to be tracking your return on that spend, right? So if it costs you, $100 a day and you're getting, 4 leads, you're getting $25 a lead, and you're booking 2 of those people, then you're paying $50 to get an estimate. And then if you're landing, 1 out of 2, then you're paying $100 to land a job. So that's like your cost to acquire the client. And so as long as your job pays more than that cost to acquire the client, then you just keep that going. And ideally, over time, you would increase your spend with what you have the capacity to fulfill on.
Perfect. Thanks for that answer. What time link does recommend with running Facebook ads for local home service biz? You want to talk about like ad fatigue too, right there? Just like what
for sure.
we're looking at.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a huge topic this whole year, as Facebook has made updates and they are wanting as much new and different creative content as you can put out. Whereas like a year ago, you could put out the same ad 37 different ways with just a different hook. They don't like that anymore. So now they want to see, different people talking, different backgrounds, different angles, different type, like an educational, a before and after, a, frequently asked question type video, anything like that. They're going to prefer big time. And the more you spend, it's kind of a weird caveat, but the more you spend, the faster it's going, especially if you have good videos, the faster it's going to show people those videos, which means the faster they're going to fatigue, meaning your cost per impression is going to go up, which basically just means it's going to cost more and more to get leads if you're not putting out fresh and different content.
More important than ever right now, huh?
Yeah, it is like the number one thing right now.
So I can speak for this. I got some updates here from Jacob's team, the account manager, and yeah, it's pretty sweet. All those variations. I don't know if you looked at any of those ads, but
Oh yes. Yeah, you did a good job filming them too.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. But yeah, that's the good stuff right there. So 4 variations, if I remember correctly, on what
At
we're
least.
launching
Yeah,
in that campaign.
for sure.
Yeah. 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 Cool. All right. Let's move on to next question here. Jesse, how many zip codes should we target with Facebook video ads?
So I generally prefer radius, but zip codes, if you know, like if you have the information about these are the zip codes we want to work in for these reasons, then I would target as many as you could handle, right? And it's also going to depend on density. Like if you're in an area with 1 million people in one zip code, like you may not need to do multiple zip codes, but if you're in an area with 10,000 in the zip code, then you may want to rope some more in. Now, I'm speaking specifically for land clearing. Um, you may have some slight tweaks depending. Like if you run an HVAC or plumbing or roofing company, you could easily get away with being in 1 or 2 zip codes. Generally, what we see with land clearing is you have to have a little bigger of a radius for that. But I couldn't give you just a legit answer of how many zip codes you should target. But in terms of audience size, like when you're building an audience in Facebook, they'll give you the number. And I really like to be in that 500,000 to 1 million range for audience. Now, you can still be very successful with a smaller audience than that. You just may have some more challenges, or you may have to put out more creative because it may get to everybody faster. Austin is a good example of this. His area's less populated, smaller audience size, but it still works.
Yeah, and Jacob had a good coaching point for me as an operator. Last last week, I think. So in our meeting, like I'm very particular. I'm probably one of Jacob's biggest pain in the ass clients, just because I'm so particular about it. But we've had the discussions, and it's just like, look, I'm wired to be the best I can be. Jacob's wired to be the best he can be. And like, how do we help each other here? And so like those are discussions we're having on the back end. But one of Jacob's coaching points that I'm learning from him on is, I've got this small market here and I've been running ads here for 3 years. So I run an ad and it's like everybody in this county sees my ad. Like I can't walk into the Ace Hardware, I can't walk in the grocery store with people being like, I saw your commercial. And I'm like, commercial. First time somebody said that, I'm like, are we doing TV now or right? I'm not aware of this. But anyways, like my point is like, y'all know people are scrolling. This is why we're on Facebook. Like we're running Facebook ads. People are on Facebook and Instagram. That's just where they are. And if you run an ad in a zip code or in a targeted area, like people are going to see it. So if you have an offer that resonates or a service that resonates with what people need, there are going to be people who fill out your form. You're going to get leads. But what we ran into here was Jacob was like, man, your audience size is like so small. Why are we not letting Facebook algorithm, like you're trying to, basically what I heard from Jacob is like, Austin, you're trying to control the situation too much. And he said it in a very respectful way. But like the learning lesson I'm taking is I was trying to control the situation too much. Do you think that I know who my ads need to go to, or do you think that Facebook algorithm knows better?
Exactly. That goes into this next question, which the next question is, are there any other parameters we should use to target local lane clearing ads on Facebook? And for years, we spent so much time and effort trying to like perfect audiences and targeting. And now with Facebook's algorithm and AI, they know more about all of us than we would ever, want to admit. But if you say the right things in your videos and call out your ideal client, it will find them. And so right now, the most important thing you can do is in your video, talk about exactly who you want to work for. Like hey, like I'm in Comal County, right? So if you own land in Comal County and you're tired of the overgrowth and the invasive vegetation taking over your land, keeping you from being able to see it or use it, and then you go into your business and how and why and all of these things, Facebook's going to find them, right? And I know this to be 100% true, though I'm still every new campaign we launch, we're still usually testing some interest targeting just so that we can, stay ahead if Facebook decides to change something again. Uh, but in terms of the parameters, the point of saying all of that is don't get lost in the weeds on the parameters. Target the area you want, say who you want in the video, talk about your ideal person, talk to them, not about them as much, but talk to them and explain to them the value that you will bring and the fact that you would love the opportunity to help them out and stuff like that. And Facebook will find them for you. Now, you can also use that to disqualify, right? Like if especially if you're a little larger of an outfit or, have decent sized machines, you can, stand in front of the machines or stand in front of a job and be like, hey, this machine is large, it's capable of clearing 3+ acres per day. So, if you have that, like you kind of lightly disqualify other folks as well, because we've seen this affect people negatively. Like guys who have a nice video of their forestry mulching head just mulching up a little tiny brush pile, they will get tons of little tiny brush pile leads. Even though the video does well and gets tons of impressions, they get the wrong type of leads. So you definitely want to make sure that your video and your pictures have that.
Okay, we've got Jesse coming back with what 4 variations of video ads should we start with? Hey, Jesse, I posted some stuff in the chat here. I'm happy to do this live. Okay, so if you're cool with this, just give me the go ahead. But we can just riff on 4 different variations right here, right now. And I'm down to just brainstorm with you, Jacob.
Yeah.
But Jesse's in Huntsville, Alabama, and he's launching a land clearing business.
Nice.
It's just, and he's an experienced business operator. He's had another business for, I believe, a couple decades now, and he's starting this business. His son's going to be involved, and so yeah, I'm super excited to see his growth here.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that's a good area.
Yeah.
4 variations. The big things that I want to see are educational, frequently asked questions, pricing, and before and afters. Was that 4?
That was
Okay.
4. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So educational, frequently asked questions, pricing, and before and afters. Now, I mean, those can look different. Those can have little variations within them, of course, but you definitely want people to see like the transformation, especially because in your area, like the forest and the land is going to look a certain way. So you want that to actually resonate with them. You want to be educational on like how, why, and when. You need to talk about pricing. Like if you're not talking about pricing to some degree and someone else is, they're going to win. Because people want to learn. People want to know as much information as possible, and they want it spoon fed to them as fast as possible. TikTok has just done that to us. And so if you're not doing it, someone else will be, and they will win.
So let's just go down the line. The one thing that we talked about in our pro call yesterday, I like to keep it simple. We've had a lot of success with before and afters, and you know that, Jacob. And so like the simplest format, and coach me up here, and feel free to do it in real time and give me feedback. But it's like, hey, Huntsville, Alabama landowners, does your forest look like this? And you want it to look like that? Like I see people do the snaps sometimes. Sometimes I'll go just like show an area that we haven't done here and then move to an area that we have done. I've also tested, just like voiceover and then have the machine where it's like, complete overgrowth, like kind of the hook coming in with the machine and like
Yeah.
approaching it, and then snapping and then going to the after. But let's just talk about breaking down the ad, like how to think about for the listeners here, the format of filming an ad, all
Yeah.
the way from just like starting at the hook and ending with the CTA.
For sure. The simplest, like least effort before and after video you can do, and we've had multiple people do this, and they're still to this day one of the best performing ads. They park the machine in front of the area they're about to clear, and they just stand there and they say, "Hey, you, this is me. We're about to do this. Watch." And then they do the snap like you're talking about. And then at the end of the day, they park the machine in the exact same spot and the property's cleared, and they're standing there and they're like, this is what we did. If you would like this done to your property, click here. Like that's it. The simplest format. Now, if you are out on the job, the way you were talking about was perfect. If you're on a property that kind of looks similar and like half's cleared and half's not, that's an even easier way. Honestly, you want to say some stuff and be engaging, but to turn and show the two different options is a really, really easy, nice way to do it as well, before and afterwise.
So let's talk about format. So like we need to have a hook which grabs attention, and then
Which a hook could be anything like this. Hey, that's a hook, or like, look at this. I did that for the guy local to here. His Barco was in the background, and I was like, hey, this machine, and it's like people are like, what's going on over there? He's pointing at something. Something's moving back there. I've done one for a local guy where I did my hand like this, and I was like, whoop. And so that sort of like camera focus kind of sucks people in. The machine, like we have a video right now for some of the guys in Michigan where it's just the forestry mulcher like runs up and hits the tree and chops the top of the tree off, and that's the hook. Um, the hook is literally just anything happening in that first 3 seconds that gets them to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Anything to grab their attention. And then where do they go from there? Like
Then now
people?
you've got their attention. Now you want to talk to them, not about them, not about you. Talk to them like you're having a conversation. Again, TikTok has done this to us, where it's like we just like to listen to somebody talking to the camera like they're talking to us. And so that's all you do. Like, hey, Austin, I guess you wouldn't call him out by name, but like, hey, landowner, you know, or if you could do this even better if your area has like a local name they call people. I worked with this guy a couple of years ago. They called people townies in this area. It's like Rhode Island or something, and it was like townies. It's like that's the easiest call out ever. But basically, call them out and be like, hey, if you're in this area and your property looks like this, or you need this done, I would love the opportunity to come to your property and give you an assessment of what it is you need done and what the process looks like and how much it would cost. All those types of things. If you're doing the more call to action side, now you could also just do, and I would highly recommend the educational, like, hey, here's what good, better, best options look like. Meaning in the land clearing world, like we're just going to come in and like knock everything down and shred it all up and then leave. Or we're going to come in and get everything knocked down and piled up into some area, and this area is going to be usable. Or we're going to come in and like manicure the place, get rid of all the debris, we're going to haul everything away, and we're going to leave you with this nice pretty flat area. And obviously that's going to have different pricing structures. And then you can also just go into frequently asked questions, like in your case, I assume there's going to be a lot about the defensible space, forestry protection, forest management, forest health, that kind of stuff. It's going to have a lot of the frequently asked questions that you could hit on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've been leaning a lot into that. Just trying to do more of the SEO research around those search terms. And then we'll just build the content plan off of that. And that was something Katie brought. And I really appreciate that. because that's what people are searching for, and that's what they want answers to. And then something we talk about a lot is I think moving into this world of what are we going to call this? Like, what is it called? AEO? Like, it's essentially just AI search, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen it referred to multiple different things, but is that the correct term that the like people are using right now?
Yeah, some people are using GEO, like generative engine optimization.
What was it?
But
I haven't heard it.
GEO, generative.
Oh, generative.
Yeah, because it's like, Gemini, when you Google search, it's like giving you, like, instead of you scrolling through the search, it's just giving you what it thinks you want to know.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, like on our SEO side, our SEO tools, a huge part of that is LLM visibility, large language model visibility. And we're looking at, do the AIs recognize you? And then what is the sentiment? So there's a sentiment rating. Is it more negative or more positive? Which it's pulling data from everything for that. But
Let's that could be a 2-hour live stream on itself, I think. And I think we could just riff on where we think it's going, what you're seeing, where
oh
you
yeah,
your bets. So let's save that topic. Let's go back here to Doug. I just saw your comment there. That's awesome. All right, I got to stay focused here. We'll work to Doug's here, but let's stay on Jesse because I said we would do some like just sample scripts. So those 4 variations. Let's go back to them. You said 1 is before and after.
Mhm.
2 is what else?
Okay, so talking about educational,
Education.
I would be like, hey, if you own land in the Huntsville area, you know that this insert invasive species, like around here, it would be cedar, right? Um, or like someplace that maybe honeysuckle or whatever the heck is the invasive thing or the overgrowth thing. It's like, hey, if you're in Huntsville, you know that this is a problem. Well, what you may not know, or what you do need to know, is that this is actually an invasive species and it can actually drown out and choke out the more important trees that are actually keeping your land healthy and usable and safe to be around. And so, us here at Jesse's Land Clearing Company, we come in and make sure that your land is, more usable. And so it's kind of like basically just calling out something that they will know, so something that they can resonate with, and then educating them on what is the best case scenario around that thing so that they're seeing you as kind of like the authority who knows something. And it could literally be one of the simplest things ever, but people are going to hear that and be like, oh my gosh, this guy knows what he's talking about. Versus the competitor, when they keep scrolling, they're just going to see some dude with his machine and they're going to be like, oh, that guy does land clearing. But Jesse, he told me about the health of my property and actually talked about the trees that I have. How does he know what trees I have on my property? But
Yeah.
it's like, you know your trees, you know your area. That's going to go eons further.
So here's the action point for anybody listening. If you're starting a land clearing business, know your trees. And Jacob said that at the beginning. You don't have to be an ISA certified arborist, but do the research on your trees and understand your forest, because it is important. Like, if you come in there and start chopping down the wrong trees, like, people are going to be pissed off real fast and you're going to be out of business faster than you know. So if you're going to get into this business, take the responsibility to understand your local landscape. And because in some places too, that like there are fines if you go cut down the wrong trees, right?
Yep.
And in this industry, like, we don't have a certification like the tree service industry has. Tree service does a great job as an industry as a whole of educating their professionals, right? Right now, land clearing and fire mitigation is still kind of the wild, wild west. I'd say fire mitigation has more education, but land clearing, you can just jump in and grab a machine, be an excavating operator, and go start mulching trees, right?
Yeah.
Please, 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 if you're hearing me on this, do your local research before you go buy a machine and just start mowing everything down. That's not the way to be in land clearing business. And I know Jacob agrees with that because of what he's stated before. Alex also from Brushworks put out a good YouTube video on that, right? understand the overgrowth, the brush first, and start to understand the benefits that if you do clean that up, how it's going to promote the health of the trees that people do prioritize, right? So for me, we have specific trees that grow like weeds out here. And they're a subspecies of pine trees, right? They literally just grow on top of each other like weeds. Do we want to keep some of them? Yes, but like the whole goal is to thin them out and let them grow up healthy and strong. And so a skilled land clearing or fire mitigation forestry operator is going to know that kind of stuff. So please, please, please take it upon yourself to go do that local research. And it's going to be different for every area.
Yep.
So there will be a tree that people love and it will provide shade and it grows healthy, strong, and beautiful. And then there will be other trees that are just kind of like either underbrush or trees that are overgrown and can be thinned out. Anything else to add on that, Jacob?
Yeah, I would say another huge thing to educate on besides pricing, which I feel like should kind of be its own variation, but would just be use case. Like use case in terms of like if you just have I do forestry mulching or I do land clearing on your ad, and you show up to the house and you're thinking, oh, it's a 1 acre job, it's going to be a quick in and out mulching job, and then you get there and they're like, oh, I need to build a you know warehouse on this thing. And it's like they need true clearing, they need the ground grubbed or all of the roots gone, all of the stumps gone, taken out, and like, some kind of maybe even finish, grade on there. That's going to be a 10x cost difference most likely versus just coming in and forestry mulching. And so if you front load that kind of stuff, you can avoid those hard conversations of they saw some pricing and they thought they needed forestry mulching and you're, $2,000 to $3,000 for that. And then you come in and it's going to cost $15,000 to clear 1 acre because that's the work that needs to be done for their use case. They're going to be like shocked versus if you can educate that on the front end, then they will understand the difference, of what they need.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. We've got a lot of chat going on here, so I'm trying to stay on task here. Let's wrap up the 4 variations. So Huntsville landowners, we got a before and after script, then we've got an educational script, and then 3 was FAQs, correct?
Yes.
And then what was 4?
Pricing.
Okay. Pricing is something everybody strays away from. But like, look, where do you think this comes from? Why do you think people like as contractors are like, oh, I don't want to tell my price to people? Like, why do you think that?
It's some weird limiting belief, but there's 2 things. They don't want their competitors to know their pricing, which is just so weird to me because I would want to know everyone's pricing
Totally.
so that we can like make sure we're on the same page and like the market gets better. And so like I do this, I in my previous businesses, I talked with everyone about pricing and if they're lower, I'm like, "Hey bro, we should probably think about running that up." And if they're super higher than me, I'm like, "Okay, where is he getting that from? Like how do we play the game and what service is he providing? Is he providing more value than me and that's why he's charging more?" So I try to figure that out. And the other thing is I think people just think it's like, well, I have to provide them with a quote beforehand so that they can know because they're scared that people are going to think it's this much and it's actually this much. But the thing is, you just need to educate them on the full process. Like if you're just charging by the acre of the day, well, hey, that's easy. Let people know what it is, but also give ranges and give reasons why. Like again, the good, better, best of the pricing range. Um, but in terms of starting from Doug, that's a good idea. But the only thing you'll run in with the starting from is if you say starting from $2,000 and it's a $20,000 job, and they thought it was going to be more like 2 or 4,000, you'll still end up shocking them. So you definitely want to educate them on the full picture. Um, I can't really think of another reason why. I think it's just more of a stigma of the way people used to do things.
I think so too. And I've thought a lot about it, because like after our conversations, um, about, your pricing calculator and estimate, we live in a world where if you can search something and you understand the price of that, like for example, if I'm gonna go buy a snowmobile and everybody is like, come in to get a quote, I'm just never gonna do that because I don't have time in my day to go drive to the dealership, right? And I think we're dealing with a lot of people, especially when you're selling to a wealthy landowner. They're like, I just want to deal with the pro. I want them to give me the information that I need, which is how much is it going to cost? When can you do it? And can I trust that you're not going to just go run the machine into my house and blow something up? Right.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what people care about. And if you can ease the pain and the efficiency on all three of those fronts, like that's, we see a lot of success because our project manager who handles sales, like he's fast on the phones and he meets with people and he answers their questions fast. And then whenever he shows up on the site visit, it's like, we're quick, straight to the point. We're not like BSing with them trying to, I don't know. I hear a ton of people like, oh, I'm building rapport. I'm building rapport. Like, dude, nobody wants to, like, you're a contractor, you're a pro. Like you don't need to know everything about their personal life. You're there to give them pricing. You're there to deliver a service and be professional about it. Get in and out. Like they probably, as much as I love people in our community, like they really don't care about you and your preferences in your life. Like they just want a price and they want you to deliver the service and they want you
Yeah.
to get in and out so that they can get on with their day. And I think like once we started to understand that like that's what most people want, things just started moving quickly, right? And so
Especially your ideal client.
for sure,
You do have those people that will talk to you for 7 hours and they want all of the work for $1,000. Those are not your ideal client. Your ideal client is how you described. They like for me, if I haven't won a service and you tell me it's this much and I'm going to deliver on it in this time frame, and they sound confident about it and they have good reviews that I've seen online already, I'm like, dude, get out here. Here's my card. You know what I mean? And I'm the same way. Like if a car dealership doesn't have the price, I wrote that car off already. It's gone. And one of the coolest versions of this here local to me, this Genius HVAC company has the lamest video you could imagine. He's like sitting there in his office, the like his office manager or something's holding an iPhone on the other side, and he's just calling all of his competitors, and they either don't answer the phone, they have an AI receptionist on there, or in this middle of the day, or they wouldn't give pricing over the phone. And he called 3 people live on the video, and that happened. And then he turns to the camera and he goes, "Here at Guadalupe County AC Company, if you call, we'll answer and we'll give you a price right now. And if you want to know what our prices are, click the link below. They're all listed on the website." That guy is killing it. But anyways, tangent there.
so for example, it's like pricing. Like Trevor who's on here, incredible guy. Like I keep trying to offer him a job because he's going to be super talented. He's going to build a great business, and I know it. So Trevor, if you're still on here, keep moving forward. Like, where our discussions sit, but I'm going to keep offering you jobs because you're going to be good, and I already know it. But like for him, like if he's going in and starting a business, like I know that if there are other competitors out there to Bear Claw, like I want pricing. I want my competitors charging the same price, because here's what happens. It's like, and he and I were messaging back and forth. There's a guy who's like, he said something like, I don't know why guys, I don't understand why guys are charging any more than $2,000 an acre for fire mitigation. And I'm like, dude, like
Every property is different.
Every property is different, but at the same time, I'm like, I watch the numbers like a hawk back here, and it's like I know what we're generating top line and I know what we're generating bottom line. And those two numbers are not the same. Whenever you've got staff, employees, people who need to live in expensive places, right? Like they need to make good livings. They've got family, they've got kids, they need health insurance. All this stuff adds up. And if you're charging $2,000 an acre, I can tell you the only thing you're paying for is barely your equipment, not much
Yeah.
more. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's why I'm transparent with our pricing.
Well, and
Here's what we need.
as the homeowner or landowner, do you want the guy like just making enough because he could get the job showing up to your house to run this machine next to your home? Or do you want the guy who's like super happy with his job, super happy with the amount of money he makes? He's got a good family at home that's well taken care of because you're hiring a good company that pays their people well because they charge well because their service brings value. Like, who do you want coming and running this machine next to your house? It's definitely going to be the other guy, you know. And if they don't think that way, they're not your client. I promise you.
That we had this happen like some other guy from out of the county came in, started undercutting pricing, and he swiped a couple of our, like people who are our bread and butter clients, and they realized, oh, it was way less expensive. And we do the bulk of the work in that place. And most of the people who chose to go with the other one, who came in and brought one guy and one skid steer mulcher in and blew the place up, and then did the government contract that they paid super dirt cheap for. There's just like these strands of lodgepole like laying across the gravel road, and we're the ones who do all the work in there. And people are like, is this you? And it's like, no, like they brought in another contractor from somewhere else, but like that dude doesn't give a crap about our backyard. We care deeply about this. And so it's funny because like we're working with, several people who are like the long-term residents there. And we just had this beautifully pristine forest. And we're like, hey, everybody else who gets to go choose, like you get to choose. Here's our price, and it's going to be more expensive than them. But if you want your place to look like the state land and how it blew up, and there's crap laying everywhere, strands of lodgepole that nobody took the time to go back over and mulch, stumps left everywhere. Like if you want it to look like that, that's fine, if that's what you want. But what we're working to do is be more transparent with pricing on making sure our customers understand that just because you get a cheaper price from somebody, that doesn't mean we're talking apples to apples here. We're going to show you that that price may mean that you're comparing apples to oranges. So, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, what is it that you want? Do you want your forest to be well taken care of with pristine care? And do you want this place to look like a park at the end of this? Or do you really not care? And are you fine with just a machine coming here and making it look like a bomb went off? If that's what you want, totally fine. We're just not the company for you. And so like that's a big push that I have right now on why I'm pushing to do transparent pricing. And then also tell the people, hey, if you pay this price for these services, this is the quality that you're going to get and the product that you're going to get, or the end result that you're going to get. If that's what you want, we're a perfect fit. If it's not, we don't do that kind of work where we come in and make people's places look bad. Why? Because I like videoing. And if I pull a drone shot over, the state land right now, which I haven't shared publicly, I'm not that guy, but I'm like, dude, the people in this neighborhood are like, where it really starts to piss me off is when they ask me if that was us,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, hey, I have no problem with other people choosing a different service, but what I will not allow happen is to be associated with something that looked like you came in and dropped some dynamite on a place, like we
Exactly.
deliver a great service and we're going to put our sign in that yard.
And that's another huge content idea or ad variation, and your reputation will grow by you non-biasedly educating people. Like you can not sound snooty or attitudey and explain what you just explained. Basically, it's like, hey, if you're looking to hire a land clearing or fire mitigation company, here's the things you should look for, and here's the things you should look out for. And then you go into these things, and it's like Hey, if you're seeing or hearing these types of things, you need to look and make sure that they're insured. You need to look and make sure they have like at least 10 reviews from real people. You need to look and make sure they have examples of work they've done before that looks like your property. You ideally they would have videos explaining that they understand the landscape, that they understand forest health, that they understand fire mitigation. Like I've seen these kind of campaigns be super successful, both in the land clearing space and just in business in general. Like some of my bigger agency colleagues, they have like their best performing videos are them saying, "Hey, here's what you should look for when you're looking for a marketing agency, and here's what to look out for." And then they'll even go as far as to point out the best companies. One of my friends recently did this. He was like, If you're looking for a roofing marketing agency, here's like the top 5 in the nation." And he didn't even put himself in the list. It's like, how cool is that? But he also talks about why they're the best and what they provide and the value they bring. And if you can speak to it on that level, then you're going to build so much trust and reputation in your space that when it comes time for someone to hire, they're going to be coming to you because you took the time to educate them in a non-biased way. And you're just basically building, reciprocity for the future.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it comes down to the goal, right? It's like, what's the goal here? And if you truly care about delivering a great service, then like being okay with having a direct conversation with a customer of like why it's not going to be a good fit is totally fine. And we realize that like we're not going to service every single customer because not every customer is going to want what we have to provide. But like I'm so unbelievably committed. Like, and my guys would probably tell you this, but I was driving a job the other day and I'm like, everybody's like, "Oh, it looks great." And in my mind, I'm like, we could have gone over this one more time with the mulcher. Like, I don't care if it costs us that money. It's like, it's the visual, it's the aesthetic, right? It's like it's the last piece that matters,
Mhm.
And
Yep.
for what, I don't know, like as a property owner here, like if I'm paying top tier for a service, I want the place to look good. Yeah, sure. We're protecting from wildfire risk. We're cleaning up the forest, but dang, it's like if I own mountain property, like I want that place to look good.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of the people who are ideal clients, they want to bring their friends, they own some $100 million business and, they want to bring all their clients to their big ranch and they want to be proud of it. Right. And they're
Yeah.
not going to be proud of it or they're not going to recommend you if you leave the place looking like a bomb went off. And so that's just the commitment to the quality that we have internally. And we're okay with telling people, hey, we don't think this is going to be a good fit for us because we just simply can't. We can't let our internal company standards down to fulfill at the rate that, for example, it's like we can bring a skid steer and a mulcher in and do it once and it looks like crap and charge you the whatever price that you got from the other guy. Or we can go the extra mile and know that it's going to take the time and charge you this price and you're going to get this. And that's the one we're interested in, right? And so like from a customer perspective, if you're not interested in that end result, then we're not going to be a good fit. And you have this internally too on your business, I know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You just hit my sweet spot right there because I've lived both sides of it so heavily. Um, that and I just got this massive like assurance from that at this conference I went to in Miami last week, which I'll share on just quickly. But yeah, if you want, okay, I'll just say it. The best business has the best clients. And when you understand that, it's just going to make you better. It's going to make your company better by getting the better clients. Like we literally get better work and do provide more value to the better clients than the other ones. And to your point, it's also the reverse is true. You are going to make your company look worse if you work with worse clients. So by saying no to clients, you're actually making your company better, especially when it comes to pricing. Because if you try to come in and do a $10,000 job for $2,000, you're not going to do as good of a job. You're not going to be there as long. You're not going to provide as much value. You're not going to put as much resources into it. And the client's not going to value it as much at all. And so that, like, I kind of knew it, but when the guy from the stage put it in that perspective, like, the best businesses just have the better clients. They have the best clients. And I see that in our business. Like when we work with better land clearing companies, they get more value in what we do for them and they get better results. And it's going to be the same way with your clients. If you work with better clients, they're going to be able to pay you more, which means you're going to be able to do more, which means you're going to be able to provide more value, which means they're going to be happier and you're just going to look better as a business.
Agreed. Do you have a hard stop at the top here? What's your
I
schedule?
have to 9:15 or 15 minutes from now, basically.
Okay, cool. So let's rope all this back in, right? Like, why are we talking pricing? Because we talked that to be the fourth variation of the ad. So, what I'm going to encourage people on here is don't stray away from pricing. It's actually going to qualify your ideal client better. Because here's, if you haven't ran ads before, or if you have not done digital marketing, your big concern right now and your big question is, how do I get leads? Or will this even work for me? And here's what I'm going to tell you. Getting leads is not the hard part. Like, you could tune into a couple of these live streams as Jacob and I keep going, and we're just going to keep talking about this stuff, and you can just go take this and replicate it, launch your own ads if you wanted to. Or you can hire somebody like Jacob and literally, like, it's just working for 120 clients. Like, that's why I chose to hire him, because it's like, there's no questions, right? I already know it's going to work. And yeah, sure, we've had some things to work through on the back end, but like, we've talked about this before. Every client relationship is just about expectations, and as long as you're willing to take a partnership approach of like, hey, I'm in this for the long haul, you're in this for the long haul, we're going to make each other better. You work through those things, and then you figure out how your teams work internally together. But the reason I'm going to bring this back to, can ads, your question is, can I get leads? And the answer is yes, you can get the leads. But what you should be asking is, how do I get qualified leads? And pricing, as one of those variations, is a great way to qualify people. Because if you're transparent with your pricing and that pricing doesn't work, or that budget doesn't work for the person watching that ad, they're just not going to fill out your form. So this saves you time. This saves your salesperson time. This saves ad spend, right? Like, you're allowing the algorithm to get better and hone in on your ideal client if you're not grabbing more of those people.
When you're giving yourself accountability, like, because if you don't, and you show up to a job and you're like, don't have a job next week, you're going to be tempted to meet them in the middle on price. And then you'll end up doing jobs for cheaper than you wanted to. And like, if I could go back in any of my businesses and do this from the beginning, rather than like taking anybody with a pulse and a credit card, I would do it in a heartbeat, because it's just, you'd be better off sitting on the couch sometimes than going and doing some of this stuff. Like, if you just need work to have work and get reputation because you're like so brand new, I would highly recommend just doing it for free and asking for like reviews and videos and referrals. Don't try to just get cheap work. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt and the negative bank account because of it. Like, just don't do it.
Well, it's a lose-lose scenario for both sides, right? Like, you're already doing something for cheap, so you're internally kind of pissed off because you're like, like, these people should be paying me more, like, internally, even if you have a good attitude about it. We've all done it, right? And then the other person on the other side is like, well, I really expected more out of this. And then you're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm doing this for like such a discounted rate, So to your point, like, I think if I was starting over again, in order to get my first 10 reviews, I would literally just go do the first 10 jobs and be very clear. It's like, you have that brush pile, I'm going to load it up in my dump trailer and I'm going to haul it off for you for free. in exchange for a Google review. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Great. And then I get the first 10 Google reviews, and then I start running ads.
Exactly. Yep, that's the perfect. And if you want to just kind of like a little extra tip for somebody who's never done that, usually people will want to try to like give you $100 or something. Like they'll give you a tip or donation usually anyways when you do that. Not that you would go into it wanting that or asking for that, but that's usually, how it goes. But that review and that referral and that content when you're brand new is like the most invaluable thing because you just don't have any trust or reputation and you need it. And
Yeah.
so trade your time for it. Don't try to work for cheap for it.
Yeah, for sure. And the things that you get, if you're strategic about it, you get the Google review, which starts kicking in on the Google algorithm, which you need, and you absolutely should take great pride in getting consistent 5-star Google reviews. Your ads are going to perform better when you have 5-star Google reviews. Because here's what happens. You run Facebook ads, you run Instagram ads. Can you get leads? Sure, you can get leads. But in the beginning, if you have zero Google business profile or if you have zero social media presence, what do you think people do whenever they see your ad? Yes, they may fill out your form, but what do you think they're doing after that?
Research.
Research, research, research. So if you have no online presence, people are going
Gonna
to
look like a
immediately,
scam.
yeah, like, oh, I don't think that's a real company. But you have 10 Google business reviews and you have a social media page full of before and after work or during work of your machine doing it. So use those first 10 jobs that you go do for free if you're in a startup to get your content, take videos, take before and after pictures, and get Google reviews. And if you do that for 10 jobs, then you have your full social media pages filled out. You have Google business profile presence. You have 10 Google reviews, and then your ads are going to convert way better than if you just go straight to running ads.
Yep. Exactly.
The one thing we did not touch on here, so you hit on before and after, you hit on educational, hit on FAQs, hit on pricing. 8:03, you got 15 minutes. Let's do a run through real quick. Before and after. Hey, Huntsville, Alabama landowners. Does your property look like this and you want it to look like this? My name's Austin with Huntsville Land Clearing. We're a 5-star rated company. If you'd like to get a free quote, click the link right here, fill out the form. We'll give you a call here shortly. So that's like the most basic ad ever right there. What would you change about that before and after?
I would give a little story personalization to it, just a hair. Like if you have anything cool to talk about, like you've been in this community for a certain amount of time, um, you're a veteran, or you have this background, or you're a family man, it just a little bit of like, about me kind of personalization because people want to hire people, right? So, like, hi, I'm Austin with Bear Claw Land Services. We're invested in Grant County. We have been for this amount of years. We're committed to making the forest healthier and making properties prettier in this area. And we've had the fortunate opportunity to be able to do that for thousands of people to date in this area, something like that. Now, obviously, you have to have that to say it, but just anything that can like personalize it to you, so they feel like they're hiring Austin, this good family man, or this good whatever, person. Anything they can latch on to kind of want to help you out.
Yeah.
You good.
And along with that, it's like, I would encourage you to be 100% yourself. If you have some qualifications or if you have some education that's relatable, share it. If you don't, whatever you do, don't BS people because they'll see right through it. So like
Yeah.
Trevor, if I'm you, and I got the forestry degree and the background and the wildland fire, like I'm using that, you know what I mean? If I'm you in the beginning and be upfront, like, hey, I'm starting this business here. I'm looking for 5 people who will let me come give them a free property assessment, right? Like, don't be afraid to, in the beginning of your ads, to be just like super transparent, because as you level up and as you start getting more jobs and more reviews, you can change your strategy. You'd be surprised at how many people want to help a guy who's just willing to hustle and get started. You know, there are people out there.
Oh, big time. Yeah, like in my community, people do this all the time. It's like this guy just decided to quit his job and he just posts a picture of him and his family. And it's like just this story of, hey, I just quit my job and I'm starting this business and I've never done a job ever and I would love the opportunity to come to it. And it'll be like 100 comments. Like, what a great way to just kind of, you know, get started. To Doug's point, I definitely understand you have bills to pay. Um, I'm not saying you need to go out and do 10 jobs for free, but if you have like friends and family that you could, at least get 2 or 3 uh jobs under your belt where you can get some content from it and some reviews. It's just going to cost you the diesel. The faster you can do that, the faster you can use that for some posts and maybe an ad so that you can, go get some paid jobs and have something under your belt. The golden rule, it I like to see double-digit reviews. Like, you at least wanna have 10. If you have 100 reviews in a land clearing company, you are like the top 1% of land clearing companies in the United States. So, I would say shoot for 100, at least get 10. Um, and I mean, if you're running any kind of legit business and you're doing 1 job a week, that's 52 jobs a year. You should be able to get, I mean, you're not gonna get a review from everybody, but you should try very hard.
Mm.
Because reviews are gold. And I mean, if you're doing 1 job a week and you do 50 jobs in the year and you get 25 reviews, you're gonna be better than like most land clearing companies that exist.
So, Doug, if I'm you, here's exactly what I'm doing. You can do this by either knocking on doors and handing out flyers, or you could run a Facebook ad if you got some budget to throw at it. But I would do something crazy. I would do something like this. Hey, Durango landowners, I'm doing something crazy right now. And let me work through this in my head right now, and I'm doing it in real time. But ultimately, the point I'm trying to get across is like, hey, I'm doing something crazy right now. For the first 5 people, I'm only going to charge you for my skid steer rental. I've got XYZ experience in running equipment, but I'm the starting Durango driveway grading, and we are going to specialize in creating better driveways here for Durango residents. But I would create some sort of offer where it's like the first 5 people, all I'm going to do is charge you for the skid steer rental and my fuel. I'll come regrade your driveway for the cost of that. And then just be super transparent, figure out your rental pricing, the day rates, all that stuff. And then just say, like, provide them all the receipts and give them a rough estimate in your estimating process, right? So then people feel like they're just getting a straight grade up deal. I wouldn't buy equipment to start at all. I would rent. I recommend renting until you have like 3 months of backlog, and then pull the trigger on that equipment during whatever year you get to that. But you can rent at the beginning. Go ahead.
That's a genius video idea. And I was just gonna say, if you didn't want to tell them that you're just starting the business, or you could use this same, like, say you already have a business, and you want to use that same strategy. What you can do is, I'm doing something crazy for the next 5 people. I'm trying to get some new fresh content. I'm trying to get some good videos and before and after pictures of restoring someone's driveway. So if you'll allow me to come and film the whole process, I'm giving you this offer. So then that offer can be used for either an existing business or a new one, but you don't have to necessarily talk about the fact that you're brand new if you didn't want to. You just play it on the I'm trying to get the content thing. But that's a genius idea. I'm doing something crazy for the next 5 people. That's some gold there.
And then you probably run that ad for a week. And I mean, I don't know, like I shouldn't promise this over the air, but just knowing what I know on the back end, like if we run that ad for a week, if we run that ad for 1 or 2 days, we're probably getting those leads. You know what I mean?
I have done something similar, and yeah, one day is probably all you're gonna need.
Like it's just going to blow up, whether
Yeah.
they're qualified or not, or whether or not they're like a great customer to work with. I don't know. I can't promise that. But like if you just ran that in your target area, you would get people calling, and you would have opportunities to go fix their potholes. Now, the challenge is with like you're going to show up and somebody's going to actually need material trucked in. So I would have that, I'd have your trucking subcontractor lined up and your cost of the aggregate, per
Yeah.
load, ready to roll. And then if somebody if somebody just has a terrible driveway that needs more class C road based material, then just tell them, be straight up like, hey, you're going to need some material and here's what the cost is going to be, and I'll just pass it right along. But I think you'd probably get some where you I don't know, you could rent a dump trailer and probably get a load of class C material,
Yeah.
take it around with you and just spot treat and grade it out with the skid steer and then do before and afters. And
Now
I
you
think
got my
that'd be it.
mind rolling though, dude. You could joint venture with the local rock hauler who's on the come up, looking to get some publicity, and then it's like you could film him in the ad too, how he's coming out and doing you a favor and doing good work, and he's getting in the ad, and maybe he'll give you just a little deal on, if it was going to be $300 to bring the rock over, now it's going to be 150 because you're getting him some publicity and a potential future client. And yeah, that would be a pretty cool move. And I know having relationships with those rock dudes is awesome. Like anytime I need a load of gravel for my driveway, I literally just call him up and he's like, I'll be there tomorrow. So
If a guy's starting, and I'm going to wrap up with this here because I know you got to roll, but if a guy is starting a gravel driveway grading business, here's the playbook. Go do that to get your first jobs. That will work. I can't guarantee it'll be in the first day, but I can take a good guess. And I'm going to be careful what I guarantee on live here, but like you run that ad for a week, I just don't see any, unless something's broken on the system. I just don't see that not happening. Getting, your first 5, then pick up the phone and call every excavation contractor in that area and say, hey, I'm specializing in gravel driveway grading. And they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, thank God I get so many calls for this and I don't have time to get them. And then they're just gonna refer you all of the small jobs that you can charge $5,000 to $10,000 for. But that's a small job to an excavation contractor, right? They're doing 6-figure jobs and they don't want to mess around with the $5,000 ones.
Exactly. Yeah, that is very true. Very true.
All right, Jacob, anything you want to wrap up with?
If anybody wants that, at the beginning of the call, we talked about the land clearing potential document. If anybody wants that, just hit me up. I'll send it to you. Main thing is I just want more people to vet it. Like, as far as I know, it's very, very accurate, and I've seen it played out live with real guys companies. But I would love as many eyes on it as possible, and like anything that should be added or tweaked to it, because I have big plans for it. And then also just AI. I'm not going to stop talking about AI for the next year. The land clearing companies that integrate AI are going to win over all of the other ones. And there's lots of different ways to do that. And so if anybody has problems to solve, please just reach out to either Austin or I with problems, and I would love the opportunity to help you solve it.
Fantastic. Well, Jacob, thanks for making time for this. Listeners, we do this every 2 weeks. Jacob and I just go deep on something land clearing related. And look, we both share the same vision. Like we're just working hard to elevate this industry, provide as much value as we absolutely can. Jacob works primarily with land clearing guys in South, Southeast, Midwest. He's helping us out with some of our stuff on the fire mitigation side here in the Western United States. And yeah, from my side, you're going to hear more of the fire mitigation related, forestry related content. But the ads that we're talking about, the strategies we're talking about, doesn't matter which industry you're in, they can be applicable. You can see it applies to driveway grading. I'll give Jacob a plug here. He runs ads for land clearing companies. If you're in South, Southeast, Midwest, anywhere there, he's doing great work. His team is set up very well. They can help you run the right ads to get you the right leads. If you want help with any of these owner-operated startup businesses, we have a school group here on the owner ops side, and then we do have a plan that you see Doug mentioning right here, where it's a pro group that I do a weekly call with our pro members every Thursday. So we talk a lot about these strategies, and then like Doug and Jesse, who joined here, bring questions here on the live stream, and Jacob's wealth of knowledge as well here. So thanks again for listening. Tune in every other week. Jacob and I will do the live stream. Don't forget, work hard, do your best, never settle for less. Let's make it a great week.